Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We're going to be doing a quick dive today on someone who has been making quite a few headlines over the last several years, but definitely more nationally so within the past week. Jaguar Wright. I'm sure it's a name that you've heard of. If not, pay attention to your social media news and perhaps your national news as more mainstream media is beginning to pay attention. We're going to just dissect a little bit. Who is Jaguar Wright?
Okay.
Most hip hop and R&B connoisseurs know Jaguar from this particular song.
Most incredible, baby.
Jaguar Wright was born Jacqueline Suzette Wright on May 17th, 1977 in Stratford, New Jersey. At some point, her family moved to Philadelphia. She does claim herself as a Philly native, and she had a really traumatic childhood. She does speak about that in various interviews, but she was able to kind of pull herself up by her bootstraps, getting to the industry, the music industry, that is, and work with some of the most influential hip-hop artists of all time. To name just a couple, of course, we see that she's worked with Jay-Z. She has also worked with The Roots, which is a hip-hop group. Now, Jaguar did get married. She had two children. She had two sons. One was tragically shot and killed in 2018 in In-Town Suites in Dallas, Texas. And ever since then, from my perspective, she really began to start speaking truth to power. She started speaking about the experiences that she's had in her professional career, things that she's seen in the entertainment industry that she could just no longer, sweep behind the rug or stomach. She had to begin to tell her truth and shed light on the atrocious things that takes place. And so this is where we will begin.
I just got finished doing one of the hardest things any parent will ever do. I watched my son's killing on that camera, the footage from that camera, right there. And this is his place. This is where my son's life ended. Just across the street where there's an amusement park where families bring their kids, Hurricane Harbor, and here at these residential suites. We have to find a better way.
And as I stated earlier, no parent ever expects to bury their child. And so it's beyond, disheartening for her to have to go through that. But that was a defining moment in her life. And she's been speaking truth to power ever since. And from there, she was married, she divorced she divorced in 2020. And really since then, she's really just been going full speed ahead. She's had some very public relationships, one namely with rapper Common, which she details some essay circumstances that took place during the course of their relationship. So as you just heard, she definitely has a story to tell, and she's been telling that story from the mountaintop. Again, these are her stories. It's all alleged. We don't have any confirmation, any documentation, any physical proof other than these are things that she's saying happened to her and things that she's saying that took place. But I want to look at it from another perspective in terms, I know everyone's saying she's delusional, she's crazy, she's mentally ill. A lot of people have things to say about her. She was all fine with it when she was in the industry, but the moment, her career didn't take off or things didn't work out, it's like now, let me blow the whistle. But I want to look at it from this perspective. When any person starts something new, whether it's a new relationship, It's a new job, it's a new career, it's school, it's moving to a new city, whatever the case may be. Anytime you're starting something new, especially something that's been a dream of yours, you have a little bit of, you're wearing the rose colored lenses, right? Because you're happy just to be here. I'm happy to, I finally got to this school, or I got my dream job, or I'm in my, dream relationship seemingly, right? So there are things that I'm not going to say willfully look over, but again, you're wearing those rose colored lenses. I know it can't be that bad because this is my dream. This is my dream. This is my dream. I'm here. I finally arrived. And so the cracks start to show. You start seeing things. You start picking up on things. You start noticing things that aren't right. And, here comes the toxic work environment, or here comes those red flags in the relationship. Oh, well, and it's like, well, okay, well, that's okay, right? Well, okay, maybe that's just how it is, or maybe that's just how that person is, or this particular situation, And as everything becomes more commonplace, it's like, wait a minute. Hang on. Like this, I know this can't be right. I know that did she just, no, I couldn't have just saw what I saw, or I couldn't have heard what I've heard. And it comes to the place of, you start to realize, okay, it's not just this isolated event that happened. Yeah, it was terrible. It was horrific. It was isolated though, right? And so I think that state of shock kind of takes over some people, right? Where it's, well, do I say something? Well, nobody else is saying anything. It's this, in my mind, in my own morality, my integrity says, this is not right. This is not cool. This is unacceptable. How do I say something without being that person? How do I say something, especially with the entertainment industry specifically? How do I blow the whistle without being blackballed? How do I keep my career, but I'm probably going to end somebody else's? How do I, and I'm the little guy. When you're coming in to anything, you're the little person. It's like everyone says, corporations don't care about the little guy. When you're arguing, you're speaking to someone in customer service, chances are they're not the person that's making the policies. They're just following them. They're just doing their job, So when you're arguing with the little guy, you're the little guy. The little guy doesn't have any power. So it's like, well, who does she tell? Who does she call? Who does she say, hey, and a lot of people will say, well, the police. Well, when you realize allegedly that maybe some enforcement is in on it. Maybe everyone's pockets are lined. And then you start hearing about different things about people entering into, let's say, their permanent sleep because they said something, or they were going to say something. Somebody said that they were going to say something, and this happens or that happens. It's like, I better be quiet. But then in her circumstance, then you, again, from what quite possibly was a defining moment with her firstborn happening, what happened to him, then it's like, well, the gloves are off. And she's recently had some interviews with another podcast. I'll link them in the description, where she's alleging some other things, that it wasn't just a situation that happened to send him into his permanent sleep. It was potentially like a setup or a conspiracy, and all of these things are alleged. Again, no documentation or proof. This is what she's saying. It's what she's alleging. But, when you're starting out new into something that you thought was supposed to be so great and so wonderful and so perfect, and I'm just happy to be here, how do you, or when do you just say full stop? And so for some people that happens sooner rather than later. Some people it's immediately. It's like, okay, no, I'm going to have to quit this job, or no, I'm going to have to call off my wedding, or no, I'm going to have to take this car back to the dealer. It was way too expensive. Whatever the situation may be, the maintenance is killing me. Like, I just can't. Some people it's immediate. Some people it's, years in, decades down. Some people it's completely hindsight and retrospective. But however and or whenever someone gets that amount of pressure, that amount of weight, burdens that they've been carrying off their chest, I think that's great, right? Because who is it for any of us to say it's, time to say something? And yeah, sometimes people need a little nudge. But, who are we to say when someone is ready? Especially, depending on what a person has to lose. So who is Jaguar Wright? Is she just a disgruntled employee? Is she a failed musician? Is she someone who was going along with the get along until she was no longer valuable? She was no longer an asset. Her particular style of voice maybe was no longer desirable, so now it's like, well, now you're not in the club, so now you're gonna start talking about the club. We took your jacket back, now you're gonna say the jacket's ugly. Who is she? I think in the upcoming, we got a couple of months next in the last couple of months left in the year, excuse me. I think there's going to be more to tell. I think there's going to be more people coming out, speaking out, describing the things that they've witnessed. Some may be firsthand stories. Some may be, victims themselves. And I think we'll begin to see just who she is. And again, from what we have now, everything that she says is alleged. We know probably the most famous, hip hop couple. I don't think they may be the hip hop couple. The Carters have come out and sent their attorney sent the letter over to Piers Morgan to, take the video down, and he offered the apology, and he definitely did. As he said, he's got legal parameters. Just as everyone has everyone has some type of parameter, right? For the most part, a boundary where I can't go over. If I cross it, I need to, rectify it and make it right. But we'll definitely see just who she is. We've seen the beginning of the story. I think we're heading into the middle. And I'm excited to see, well, I'm not going to say excited to see, but I'll be tuning in to see what, comes out later with the entertainment industry. Because I look at it as any other industry. Let's treat people right. Let's treat people accordingly. Let's not harm people. Let's just do good and be good. And so we can all, take care of our families and hold our loved ones at night, So who is Jaguar Wright? I think we'll see. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.